Karla Jones, cook, singer extraordinaire. Karla is going to read a speech to us by Bob Raymer. Bob Raymer, after Yogacharya passed, we went through a time of feeling very having loss and feeling somewhat lost and shaky. And eventually Bob Raymer came up. He was a close friend of Yogacharya Oliver's. He was a disciple of Yogananda's as well. He had his own retreat in Hawaii, which how Yogacharya got him to leave Hawaii and come here. Those of you who've been here in the winter, that's a miracle as far as I'm concerned. He had been a minister of self-realization fellowship in Minneapolis, St. Paul. Yogacharya Oliver left his board of directors only 2 specific directives in his last will and testament concerning the development of the retreat. One of them, the founding of a World Brotherhood colony, now known as Clear Light Community, was accomplished during Bob Raymer's lifetime. Bob is a very important part of the legacy of the Song of Morning Ranch, and this talk was given in 1998. Thank you, Paul.
When I first met Master Paramahansa Yogananda, there were certain people that he wanted me to meet. One of them was Dr. Lewis, who was one of his close disciples. Another one was George Gay, another close disciple. Then there was Oliver Black. It just so happened that time I was doing a lot of business in Detroit. Every month I'd have to go down to Detroit for a conference there. The first time I went, I called Oliver Black and I told him that I'd like to meet him and I'd like to come to Detroit. So when I went over there, I was surprised because he met me at the airport. I don't think I told him where I was going to come in, but he met me at the Detroit City Airport. And I was really flabbergasted when he did that. Then I remember we picked up my bags and we put them in the car and we started driving along, and I felt very uneasy when I was driving with him. He had a funny way of driving. I don't know if you have driven with him. Oh my God, we're going to have an accident. It was just terrifying. After a while, he said, you know, smoking is not a good thing for yogis. Smoking gets in your psychic body and it poisons your whole system. Even one cigarette can destroy cells in your body. And he said, sooner or later, anyone who smokes is going to have to give it up if he wants to follow the path of yoga. I thought to myself, since I've been smoking for quite some time, how does he know that? I finally figured out that he could probably smell that I'd been smoking cigarettes. Boy, he just spent the whole time going back to his home on Parkside telling me about cigarettes. It took years after that, maybe not too many years. I remember one time I was at a retreat in Sedona, and this lady came up to me and she wanted to quit smoking. And would I help her quit smoking? I said, sure, I'll help you quit smoking, no problem. Give me all your cigarettes. So she gave me all her cigarettes and I put them in my suitcase. When I got back to Maui, I started smoking those cigarettes and I was smoking again. But I remembered all the time what Mr. Black said about cigarettes, that they'll really destroy part of your psychic system if you smoke cigarettes. Well, I don't know if that's true or not, but I believe it. But it was always exciting, everything that happened that we did together. When I come to Detroit, he'd take me out to his house. I tried to come on a Thursday because that was the day we'd have the SRF service at the Art Institute. In the afternoon, before we went down to the Art Institute, we'd always go to the Newsreel Theater. I thought, boy, this is a great thing because I love sitting next to Oliver because he had such a great energy. When I'd sit with him, you could just feel that energy that he had, and it was such a blessing. I thought, oh boy, this is my chance to be quiet with him. We sit there, and then we go to the Art Institute in the late afternoon and get ready for the service that evening on Thursday. There were really special days that we had together. Fortunately for me, I spent almost a year or 2 years coming to Detroit every month, once a month, to attend these business meetings. And I spent a lot of time with Oliver Black. We talk about so many things. We had so many experiences together. I remember the naming of this place. I came out here with him before he bought this ranch, and we were wondering what he was going to do with it, because he had Cranberry Ranch up in another part of the state, and he didn't need another yoga retreat center. So he didn't even think about a yoga retreat center in those days. He says, "Bob, we're going to have a yoga retreat center up here in northern Michigan." And I said, "We are?" He says, "Yes, we are. We're going to name all those roads. We're going to have Samadhi Boulevard, Karma Avenue, and all this sort of thing." I thought, this guy is really blissed out or something. But sure enough, we got up here, and shortly after that, he bought this ranch. Then the next thing we wanted to do was get a name for it. He called it the ranch, which is what we call it anyway. So he came out about 4 o'clock in the morning one day when I was staying in the house, and he didn't even knock on the door. He just opened the door. He just said, "I've got the name, I've got the name. The name is Song of the Morning." He was so excited. He was just jumping up and down. He was just beside himself when he did that. The thing that I always appreciated with Oliver Black was just being in his energy flow. You just could be like a sponge when you were with him. You just feel that flow coming into you. He truly was a master, you know? He really had the self-realization. Another thing that happened was really interesting. He was interested in architecture because we were envisioning all these different things for the ranch. We had ideas of getting Frank Lloyd Wright to lay out the whole program here. One day, I think we were on the way to California at that time, that we were going to visit Frank Lloyd Wright, and we stopped at Madison. We went to this little restaurant, and we thought as we were driving over there, how are we ever going to get a hold of Frank Lloyd Wright or get to see him? So we went to the restaurant, we were sitting there at the table, we had ordered our lunch, and we were trying to figure out how in the deuce how we were going to see this guy. We tried to find out where his place was, but we couldn't find anything in the telephone book. We didn't know how to get a hold of him. As we were sitting there, I saw Oliver look at me. His eyes were as big as saucers, and he said, "Look around." And there was Frank Lloyd Wright sitting there at another table. Whoa. Then we had to figure out how are we going to get over there to get a hold of him. Then we figured it out. We'll write him a note. Frank Lloyd Wright got the note. The waiter took it over to him, and Frank Lloyd Wright invited us to come out for the whole afternoon. Then he invited us to go to Taliesin West. We spent a lot of time doing that. It was just that everything was exciting. It seemed like just an exciting, miraculous time to be with him. I've never lost the feeling that I had in the beginning when I first met Oliver Black. He is truly one of the great masters. Every one of you has a beautiful story about him and has felt his power and love and his ecstasy. What did he used to say? Be happy, be full of joy, and stay out of debt.